So do you want to get better and quicker at playing two notes with the one bass drum foot? Well, in this lesson I'm going to show you some really cool exercises, very simple ideas to help you develop that. I'll also talk about the heel toe technique and at the end show you some cool combinations. Let's take a look. The first thing I want to do is show you how to play probably the most common technique, bass drum technique in the world, the one that I use and one that I see all the top drummers using, called the heel toe technique. So let's take a look at that now. The idea is relatively simple, but of course it's coming down to practice that makes it easy for you or not. So the way I like to explain it is you've got basically a piece of string going through your knee and attaching all the way down to the ankle of your foot, and you're going to get two notes out of one stroke of the leg. As you lift your leg up, your heel's going to come up with your knee. I'm exaggerating this movement. When you start speeding up, you'll see this movement get smaller and smaller. But as you raise your leg, you're going to see the beater come off the bass drum. You're then going to play the first note. You can forget the string now. You can play the first note with the ball of your foot. Then, and this is when the motion starts to take over, the spring of the bass drum pedal does this next bit for you. Your foot's going to come back off, the ball of the foot's going to come back off the front of the pedal, and then the whole leg is going to come down for the second note. So with one movement of your knee coming up, you get one bass drum note, and then the knee coming down, you get the second bass drum note. But the action and the secret and the source all occurs in this split second as you start to speed it up, where the spring of the bass drum pedal does the movement for you. So slowly, it doesn't really make sense. You might as well play two bass drum notes with with two different leg movements. But as you speed up, you'll see this technique becomes almost essential. So very slowly, the movement is knee comes up, ball of the foot comes off the pedal ever so slightly, leg comes down. So like I say, at a slow speed, that's really weird to play. It doesn't really make sense. You don't have to be heavy with the second note. It's just you're playing the second note with the full leg coming down. And like I said, at this slow tempo, the movement feels a bit strange, and it will do. Even for me, it feels a bit weird at this slow speed. But as you start to speed up, you can see where the technique becomes really useful. And you can see my foot slightly sliding up the pedal for the second note. I'm exaggerating that. Don't worry about that movement. That movement will occur naturally. Don't try to exaggerate it, but you'll see that you're almost sliding up the pedal for the second note as your whole leg comes down. And it's about bouncing the pedal. It feels like bouncing a ball when you speed it up. That first note is very light, allowing the spring to bounce back for the second note. And when you're practicing this technique with just the bass drum, I'm going to show you some exercises in a minute in context with the hands. But when you're practicing on its own, don't try and play them lots together really quickly. You're knacking your leg out. Try to give a little bit of a rest in between each double as you speed it up. At your top speed, wherever that might be, just relax, then go for another. And just try to make sure that the movement feels natural. Knee comes up, knee comes down. That's the heel toe technique. Now let's take a look at some exercises. So naturally you want to play this kind of thing with some actual hand stuff as well, within a drum beat ideally. And so what I've got for you are four of the most common variations you can get of playing these two bass drum notes. And it happens to be within 16th notes, and then also it happens to be involving a very simple hi-hat ostinato, just 8th notes, and then the snare drum backbeat on beats 2 and 4. But as you get more advanced with this, try playing around with different hi-hat patterns, and of course up on the ride as well. But we're going to keep it nice and simple and just focus on the technique. So like I said, there are 4 different positions. You've got 4 notes in a beat, 4 16th notes, 1 meander, and then 2 notes can be the first and the second note. It can be the second and the third note, the third and the fourth note, and then the first and the fourth note. And those 4 different positions cover all the different ways you could play these 2 bass drum notes within sixteenths. So the 4 examples are going to take you through each one of those. The first one, we're going to play the first 2 notes, 1 E and 2 E and 3 E. So don't worry about how much to start off with, but around 60 BPM, just focus on the technique. You're really looking at what the bass drum's doing here, not whether you're in time or not. But we're playing 1 E and 2 E, so it's going to feel really painfully slow. But we're going to go 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4. You can see the bass drum, hopefully, bottom left screen. I'm doing that movement we practiced, the up, down with the leg. Make sure you're doing that. Then when you speed it up, hopefully that technique will stay. Speed up by 10 BPM each time to 70, then 80, then 90. As soon as it starts falling apart, come back again. With that particular one, you can see that the bass drum foot is coming up as the hi-hat hand is coming down, which feels a bit weird. And then the bass drum's coming down, or the whole leg's coming down in between the hi-hat. So each of these 4 are going to feel slightly different to each other, especially with the snare drum. The next one is playing E and, so the second and the third note of the 16th notes. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. And again, that sort of tempo to start off with, just work on the motion. Then the third one, we're going to play and so it feels very similar to the first one. By the way, that second example, the bass drum foot comes up, or leg comes up in between the hi-hats, and then the whole leg comes down with the hi-hat. So a different motion with the leg in relation to what your right hand's doing. The third one, as I say, feels very similar to the first one, but because you're coming down, or your leg's coming up with the hi-hat and then it's coming down in between. But in context with the snare drum, it's going to feel slightly different. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and you're sort of rolling into the snare drum on beats 2 and 4. Then the fourth one feels very similar to the second one. We get 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So now what I'm going to do for you is play all 4 of those examples. I'm going to start them off at 60 BPM each, and then I think I increase to either 120 or 110 BPM, so much, much faster. You'll do it more gradually than that. Make sure you practice slowly going up the tempos. It's got to sound nice. Don't just blurt the notes out. It won't sound nice. What's the point? So gradually increase the tempo, but I'm going to show you a slow tempo that you should start at, and then a stupid tempo perhaps you should aim for. Here we go. By the way, you could have played all 4 exercises as one pattern. You could play Ooh. So some of those, when you loop them, you're going to find that they have 3 bass drum notes in a row. Kind of makes it difficult to practice these as one exercise because of that reason. Some, when you loop, are going to have 3 bass drum notes in a row. Very briefly though, it's out of context of this lesson, but if you want to play 3 notes in a row, you play the first 2 notes up in the air and then the last 3rd note as a leg down. Exactly the same technique, except the first 2 notes up in the air and the 3rd note down. But that's for a different lesson and a completely different technique that you can practice if you wanted to. The next thing I want to talk about is 16th note triplets. And of course, this is commonly known as the Bonham bass drum triplet idea, I guess. I don't think it's really got an official name. Bonham triplets can be thought of different things, but this is the bass drum Bonham triplet idea, where you're playing, in this context, 8th notes on the hi-hat, and you're playing the middle and the 3rd note of each triplet on the bass drum. Which is a lot of fun to play as drum fills, as grooves. There's I'll put a link up on the screen now. I just recently did my favourite top 9 most essential John Bonham drum beats, and you can watch that. And there's a groove in there that uses these Bonham triplets. Anyway, in context with this lesson and the exercises, you're going to play exactly the same thing. We're playing 8th notes on the hi-hat, snare drum beats on 2 and 4, and we're just playing 16th note triplets. So every beat of the bar has 6 notes, and every half of the beat has a set of 3. So we're going to get this roughly. And at a slow speed, we're just using it as an exercise. It's when you start to speed it up, you start to hear the backbeat pop out. So of course you want to sort of aim for that sort of tempo and feel comfortable playing lots in a row. But like the other examples, play it slow with a metronome. I'm going to start at 60 BPM. And then because we've got more notes per beat, I think I go up to about 80 or 90 BPM for the faster examples. Because there is a limit to how fast and comfortably you can play a lot of these notes in a row. So here's it slow and then a bit faster. Another common double bass drum variation is within 30-second notes. So we're playing 2 notes in the space of 1 16th note. And I thought this was the coolest sounding. We're playing 2 notes on the of each beat. So we're playing 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1. So just another cool variation, where, as you're going to see in my final examples, it just gives you different rates of notes to practice this technique with. Here's it slow and then faster. So for my first example combination, I'm going to take the number 1 of the 4 most common 16th note variations. But instead of playing it all the way through the bar, I'm going to play it starting on beat 2 and ending on beat 3. So basically the middle part of the bar. So you basically got this bass drum nicely on beat 1 of the bar and snare drum on beat 4. So you've got this gap between each of the examples. So this might be a cool way of practicing it. And then bars 2 and 3 involve the triplet idea and the 32nd note idea. So the idea really is to take the first bar and go through all 4 variations with the triplets and 32nd notes. This is more of an exercise in subdivisions, going from 16th to 16th note triplets to 32nd notes. And you're going to hear, and let me do it with a metronome, and I'll show you in a second as well, properly, so you can see my bass drum foot. 2, 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 1. So you can hear how the doubles got faster and faster as they went through the rates. So it's a nice little practice technique in order to play with one metronome tempo, multiple different rates of notes of doubles. So let's hear that example slowly then a bit faster. I lied, it's just at 1 tempo, just to save time on this video. So the next example is just another variation with the first bar. So I'm going to choose number 2. So it sounds like this. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And at a faster speed. And then this final example can only be used for a few different combinations for the reasons I talked about at the beginning of the video, where you've got 3 bass drum notes in a row. So these 3 examples happen to work very nicely together as a whole bar of each variation, because you haven't got 3 bass drum notes in a row anywhere. So we'd get 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 1, and at a faster speed. So like anything, it's about what you do with it that matters. These are just examples, these are just exercises. You're going to find that this technique, hopefully with a lot of practice, starts to sneak into your own playing. And then you're going to find or think of your own variations. Again, as I mentioned, different right hand patterns, different snare drum ideas, and just have fun with it, experimenting. Be patient. These exercises are purely just to learn the technique, and then let's see where it goes afterwards. Hopefully, as I said, it should start sneaking in. Don't forget, you can download both pages of this lesson. I've got it for free. You can link, there's a link beneath this video. So if you want to have all the exercises I talked about in this lesson out in front of you, then you can get that on my website below. Until our next drum lesson together then, toodle pip and happy drumming to you. If you enjoyed this video, then please give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments below. And you can watch my other free drum lessons by clicking the links on the screen now. Alternatively, if you want to learn how to play literally hundreds of famous and popular songs in full, from start to finish, and including the fully transcribed sheet music, then check out my website drumstheword.com for further details. Thanks for watching.